Good morning. It's been a couple weeks without a video. It's time to remedy that. Been working an awful lot, and I'm not done yet. So no matter, let's get on with it. Let's talk about accountability for cravings. Now, I've said before, so many of you who email me, you email me as a victim, and you email me as if you are just suspended in the air and you have no choice. These cravings come upon you and there's nothing you can do. You're just hit, you're just blindsided by the whole thing, and you're stuck. And of course, and the more I study things like Buddhism and other things, the more astonished I am at how little Western culture is built on not taking accountability, and about how all successful people in Western culture, just like Eastern cultures, are all about accountability and accepting that everything is ultimately your fault. Now, in Eastern cultures, your karma is what you do. So when you do something good, even if it's holding the door for someone, that's a karmic action. And it has a result, whether it's immediate or long-term, you never know. And you never get to see. But the more good you do, you accrue more good. And of course, you don't have to debate whether or not you believe that or not. You know you believe it because if you go to the other extreme, if you go in town square with a gun and you start shooting, you're going to immediately be put down by the authorities, because that's the reverse. That's an evil thing, and it's so bad that the karmic action has to be instant to keep you from eradicating society. And of course, the more good you do, the stronger the good is, or the stronger the bad is, you receive in kind. You go to a business and you do something really nice for a business. Well, obviously they're going to reciprocate in just about every single solitary circumstance, and if they didn't, somebody else that observed what you did would. And people, I've been watching these political debates, and of course everybody talks about the gaffes of Joe Biden, the gaffes of Nancy Pelosi, and people talk about the age of all of these people in politics, and it brings up the topic. The reason it takes, you see all of these old irrelevant barristers in politics, is because it takes years to learn how to use your karma to your advantage. It takes years to learn that if you go to a business and you say, hey, I'd like to help you, I'd like to do this, I'd like to work with you, I'd like to volunteer for your cause, I'd like to support your party, people will love you. Why does it take so long to learn that? Well, as a result, you have people that are in politics who are very, very old. Well, that's a little bit of a digression. If you look at your hunger in 3 stages, your cravings in 3 stages, they won't be cravings anymore. The first stage is the denial stage. This is a rational form of denial, where you start to feel like you're hungry. You want to eat something junky, or you want to eat when it's not your time to eat for that day. And what do? You say, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. This is the first stage. And once you adjust to 1 meal a day, that's the dominant stage. You really seldom get hungry past this point. You just shake it off. You say, yeah, I feel kind of like I could eat now. You just shake it off. But of course, as you're adjusting, it's quickly not this way. It gets into the next stage. But the next stage goes with the next 2 stages. There's restraint, number 1, and there's exertion, number 2. Now keep in mind, I'm not just making this up. This is not only my experience, but it's also 5,000 years of Buddhist wisdom here. Anytime you succumb to temptation, you go through the restraint stage and you go through the exertion stage. Restraint is when you say, oh, I'm hurting here, I've got to batten down and I've got to make it. But the second stage is the failure stage. This is where the temptation has beaten you and you switched, and now you're exerting your effort to carry out the temptation. So you say, it's not my time, but I'm going to go ahead and cook a meal right now, and I'm going to go ahead and eat. You've made the decision to eat when it's not your time to eat. So you're in the exertion phase, restraint and exertion. So you go to exertion, or this may be the drive down to Dunkin' Donuts to go and pig out, or to Pizza Hut to order a pizza and forget and bury your sorrows in food, you see? But getting back to the karmic point I made, this is karma, and this is why in the East, karma just means action. It doesn't mean payback. That's a legalistic way of viewing things. Karma means you're receiving as you've done, because you are that action. So when you choose to drink, when you choose to smoke, you are smoking because you're putting effort into it, just the same as as an accomplice in a crime. I remember we had some really bad friends in the late 80s, early 90s, and we had some kids that we used to mess around with, and it got broken up because these kids were thieves and were doing really bad things. And my parents got so mad at me and my brother because we were hanging out with guys who were very unsavory. But we were kids, we didn't know any better. But when the kid, Paul, this kid, you know, he tried to put it on the others when he was caught. He stole lots of stuff from everybody in our neighborhood. And of course, what does he do? He says, well, he did it. He did it to me. I was with him, and it was his idea to go into this garage and take these people's leaf blower and tools and all of these things. And of course, when people are caught, they try to shift the blame. They shift the blame and say, well, it was more him than me. I just went along because I was bored. I didn't know what to do that day. I didn't have anything to do. You see how it works? It's that way with our action too. Instead of saying you are your action, you are overeating, you are smoking, you are drinking, you are gambling, you are porn addiction, because that's what you do. Like the wiser, more enlightened cultures say. We try to separate it and we say, I'm the victim. I had an urge and I had to fulfill that urge because the urge is not me. No, the urge is you, because you control your urges by creating habits that have a karmic impact. So getting back again to what I said about karma, you going forward are setting the habits of tomorrow by making sure that you're eating at a certain time. You're laying down the groundwork for tomorrow, how you're going to feel tomorrow. So again, you are your actions. You are your intentions. By stopping with junk food, by stopping snacking, by getting rid of sipping on and chewing on and snacking on calories throughout the day, you're setting yourself up for a certain path down the road. You know you're doing it. And once you're restraining yourself from unwholesome, undesirable things that don't agree with the new you, you will face the denial stage, the restraint stage, and then the exertion. Well, you're already acting in the exertion of the new you by pursuing OMAD, because you've decided to stop pursuing the things that brought you bad karma. Obesity, cholesterol, high cholesterol, feeling bad, gaining weight, all of that. Everything else, any other reason, lack of self-control. And I don't want to leave out my viewers who follow this channel not because they're overweight at all. I've got lots of people that follow here who are either not driving yet or still in school, or else they're done driving and they're looking forward to retiring, or maybe they have already, and they just want the mental control. That's you. You are your actions, because karma just means action. Doesn't have to be a competition of religious ideals here. It has nothing to do with it. All it has to do is with you taking accountability for your actions, because you are your actions.